when the short courses started. Well, let me
come. Pass like this. Yeah, you.
emergency. You only let the emergency access to the exits on my right, on my left, and this single one right on my left, and this single one here to my right. Now, either way, it will lead you through the main entrance.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and Engineer Ebel Nsa, FNSE, good morning and welcome. Let's also acknowledge the presence of one of the most distinguished personalities of SPE International, and that is distinguished personalities of SPE International, and that is the presidents. Respective presidents over the years have come to join us, and this year is no exception. At the reason we have a society to be proud of for the work they've done and they continue to do. We thank you. I'd like to also acknowledge the country of Nigerians for Nigeria for Nigerians. I've just of Nigerians for Nigeria for Nigerians. I've just been informed, I haven't seen him, but I've just been informed that he's here somewhere in the room. Mr. Patrick Daziba Oba, Director at NCDMB, representing what are those possible options for Africa. What did countries like the United States of America, continents like Europe, and some parts of... Please welcome with me a manager at Seplat Energy PLC, but most importantly, our opening address.
And of course, the global best practices to climate change. Then what we have from here, we go into another program in the afternoon, and tomorrow we now go into the panel sessions. Panel sessions for 1 and 2, and for 2 main leadership programs. Just yesterday, an event, over 2,000 conferences. Panelists are participants, are sponsors, members of academia and other attendees. Also because they are partners. So we will give a round of applause to them. Thank you. I've got something that they want to.
Gas can contribute significantly to our economy. We're quite happy with our association with SP.
That we're also joined today by another, should I say, sister society. Same SPE, but this time from, as I invite
the Managing Director of SNEPCO, for their own sponsorship. Please welcome Engineer Eloho Aiboni of NSE.
Energy sector move away from fossil fuel and towards zero carbon energy sources by 2050. For us in Nigeria, considering our pace, Nigeria as a country is also blessed with rich natural resources. Not just Nigeria, I dare say, but Africa. Africa is not any different. Nigeria is not any different. What is that mix that would help us today? Gas plays a clear part to that. It is clean energy. We need to be able to utilize all the gas resources. We've got various energy mix we've got to bring into that mix. And as Shell, we saw it fit to acquire that company. So you would see us growing our solar footprint across West Africa and also in Nigeria. We also have Olon. Olon is for be it the independent, be it the international oil companies. We are all focusing to get that right in Nigeria. We need to all continue to do that. No support.
Very much, Engineer.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Well, can you hear me? Okay, that's good. That works then. Okay. Well, like, on behalf of SEPLA Energy, we have to have them because we're lawyers. Okay, so this is at the top. There's really that's it. Climate change happening. I think it's fair to say that it is. And there is an urgent need to put up here deliberately. What we've focused on is climate action, 17 SDGs. 6, 7, 8 times more than that. It's really holding back. And a very small impact on the global technology is evolving, but it's far too far behind. And so therefore,
the Office of Circular Energy PLC, giving us now we're moving on swiftly to the next item.
That I completely hold as an honor for me to be part of. That's what we do. We provide the world with the energy, the safe, reliable, and affordable energy. And we are going to be continuing to do that. Which is okay. All the people can think about what the Tongan machines are doing. I really like to call them Zoya plus means, number one, is that delivery from oil and gas. The percentage of the nutrients that provide to us of the ENGR. This conference shall be conducted very strategic, for not just the Nigerian energy sector of Africa, Section 6H1 commission can exchange ideas and chat and exchange ideas. The commission also recognizes that oil and gas push, exchange ideas and chat strategic partner is a key enabler. Driving the effective and efficient development is a key enabler. Driving the effective and efficient development of the nation's abundant petroleum resources. Now, the identity special that we over and we will speak on behalf is sustainable. The third scenario is enter Angola. That's an example. It's more problematic than me. We are trying to do a few things in Nigeria directed by the Executive Secretary of the and anchoring and have the freedom to air our minds both in terms of the area of industrial application, science, and technology or policy. We need that challenge in terms of growth of human capacity. And of course,
I'm going to start with the system song. I'm going to start with the system song on behalf of the GCO, on behalf of the GCO, MPC Limited, Mr. Gilo Dolokiari, MPC Limited, Mr. Gilo Dolokiari. Please grapple with Mr. Gilo Dolokiari. Please grapple with strategies for balancing energy availability, with meeting the United Nations Sustainability Development Goals number 7. This balance for energy challenge. I want to encourage all industry leaders and this professional body, particularly the SP, the Naice.
Thank you very much, Engineer Dr. Tuomi, Executive Vice President Upstream of NNPC.
Nigeria. And our major objective is to see to the professional development as well as the welfare of our
Olive Globe so that you can join us to from an oil limited. Congratulations, Walter Smith. My cluster here, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Reserves growth, improving production capacity, and ensuring security of supply, all of which cannot be discussed without applying some clarity on the treatment of frontier basins, White Section 9, which establishes the frontier in frontier exploration development, with recent frontier exploratory activities in Bauchi and Nasarawa states, with the hope to receive good outcomes from this event. Thank you, and God bless you.
And the other two will take their remarks after the panel. We need to save as much time as we can now. So I will just go quickly. The other, the sponsors for this session, and it is by the Chief Executive Officer of Heritage Oil and Heritage Energy Operational Services Limited, Mr. Ado Osaribaje, who is represented by the General.
I'm delighted to welcome you to this session to discuss a topical issue in the Nigerian energy industry. To this industry, with OPEC's prediction of a 23% increase in global primary energy demand in the period up to 2045, at our company in Heritage, we believe that the Nigerian industry holds a prime place in the global energy landscape and enable her to fill the gap that is left by declining fossil fuel. It is our expectations that today's discussion will accept and Shoreline Natural Resources Limited. We operate a prolific asset with huge potential for contributing to the nation's daily oil and gas output. The high risk and underexplored with a paucity of data. We also do hope that the funds accumulated under the PIA's Frontier Exploration Fund have been...
Thank you very much, Mr. Adeshola Adebao, the GM Joint Venture and External Relations for Heritage, speaking on behalf of this PC. And sir, let's welcome Mrs. Sophia Mbakwe. You're welcome, ma'am, to your seat on the podium. Joining them is General Money. I'd like to welcome Mr. Kunle Adeyemo, General Manager Joint Venture Asset Development for Chevron, represented by Dr. Adeyemi, NNPC Chevron Joint Venture South Offshore Asset Manager. Sound, I want this off. Where are you? Please, before I hand over to the moderator, the only way you can ask questions throughout this year's paper are questions written on paper card. All questions, please, should come through the SPA Nigeria app. It's on the iOS store, it's on the Google Play store. And please, Mr. Moderator, remember.
So we would want to make the work with the time. The panel making the remark, you can also answer the question. And the question is,
from the point of view of sponsors remark, I think it's an extreme pride for us that Niger Delta Exploration and Production PLC, the parent company of NDPL, the operator of the Daily Fluid. In the event that what I say here is offensive to those who are lawyers, I plead my innocence. But I think there are two things that have been put on the table. The one is the seeming ambiguity of Dahomey, Bida, Sokoto, Chad, and Benue Trough, or powers the upstream commission to actually declare areas to be frontier basins without a need to change the PIA. Very few constructs. Let me then speak to the one which is a bit more contentious around the host community. And again, that same section 3 classified as host communities. And the definition includes even the definition of the littoral communities that are around development within their area. I'm going to pause here. Thank you.
Thank you. From what we've been told,
this opportunity to actually bear my mind on this. As I was introduced, I'm a consultant with a Christian. My background, having come from the technical side, I have been working on frontier data since 2008, and I have seen a lot of information. So let us look at this scenario. What frontier basin bids? Please, madam, just permit me, sometimes I have challenges. I forget that then, this also falls within the frontier. And I believe why frontier came in is because of incentives. So,
challenge to look into it, and we can have more definitions and more territories. Thank you. The next question I have is for NUR or fields.
Around two very important issues with the PIA, which is these conversion and the frontier basin development. And as we discussed, we know a lot of regulations, and the topics of today's sessions, we do have regulations on it. We do have regulations on leases and further to clarify things where the Act hasn't well done its bit. We asked about having PELs established over PNLs outlined in section 4 to 10 of the PIA. It clearly states our powers and our functions, and how we cut out our words to be fallow. So we would look, the commission is at its very best in trying to make sure that it fulfills.
You do the best you can. My good friend at the end, can you elaborate, can you elaborate more? I mean, that can be utilized.
Yeah, I can certainly try. I mean, going after the regulator. What more do you see after the regulator has spoken? But yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. And other, engineering bodies like NCBND. So everyone needs to play their bit. And I think I see that already in section 92, which we were talking about. And it's a double, there's always pros and cons, like the NPRC spokesperson mentioned. There's a drive to accelerate development. So you have so those are the kind of conversations that we need to continue to have, continue to create the clarity and alignment that we need. Then of course, roles and responsibility. We have two regulators. So with the authority and the commission and ancillary regulators like NCBND, what we need to do is strengthen capability as well. Either the commission or the authority, a certain time line collapses, that's kind of taking up content, but also bringing in the available technology, we can meet up some of those deadlines. Thank you. I think the next question is to develop this field. Yeah, can we use that?
And not just to commit to a work program, but to also make certain financial resources available to execute that work program. That of instruments from a performance bond, bank guarantee, and all of that. And I think NUPLC has made it a lot easier recently by coming out to specifically pronounce technical competencies. We've got the financial horsepower to do that as well. And I think we can identify with that. But we also then need to ask ourselves what the Commission or the PIA is expecting. I think that's the challenge. And it's topical. It's just in this sort of conversation for us to find where's the balance that meets both parties somewhere. On the other hand, we understand.
Like I was asking my sister on this side, based on this,
skilled workers and even companies. So we have the PTTI in Warri, PTDF, of course, significant service company, and the offshore, the field service company. And beyond the Niger Delta play, staff from NMPC, NSERV, and of course subcontractors, Nigerian companies supporting that activity. There are rules, there are fiscal regimes that will set the play for how to move forward. So I see that we can ramp up production. There's it. So it provides that there's aggressive drilling activities for serious investors, and I guess maybe that's why Mr. Vite mentioned the team. So we have the infrastructure, we have the workforce. Nigerian content is there to ensure that we're in line with all of that, and then PIA has now set this up.
Maybe the intensity will grow, so we'll see how we run by the grace of God. Abdurrahman, do you have anything?
It's very long way. As English is no longer brown. I know you agree, it's very brown. I mean, look at the cross section of participants here, the panelists here, SPE. But I think sometimes the way we approach projects, where we kind of expect almost every project to come with its own local content capability solution, I think sometimes makes the overhead assistant. That's what I like.
Thank you. So you agree with that? It's doable, but we have to. Thank you. I think the next one is Dr. Adeyemi. Do we have adequate reefs, offshore, swamp? Mostly swamp, because most of these marginal fields concentrate more on the swamp.
I will start with the former question before I get into the one we talked on. So, I know, so I'll make it very brief. I think one additional thing to add to this when we talk technocrat or the ability to contribute to deliver,
My hope is just to continue to deepen our adoption. But back to the comment on the rate count hitting in 2020, a lot of the work programs and activities that were ongoing at that period had to be sunset. What we are seeing now of the rate count, which is kind of signaling the fact that activities are beginning to pick up for a number of reasons. The commodity price is appreciating. I believe as of June, the figure increased to 14. My gut feel is the fact that before the end of the year, we will continue to see an appreciation in terms of the rate. Okay, let me present themselves. I'm sure that the operators are going to pick up the rate and use it for the job. Thank you.
Okay. Madam, I will get back to you again, and we have more very aggressive development program. He is saying that it's possible.
I align with what he said. Definitely it's possible. I mean, he's mentioned why we've had the decline. COVID happened, crude price dropped in the 20s. I mean, worldwide you have, land rigs, over 1,500 land rigs available, offshore rigs, over 230 rigs available. So rigs are available for the jobs. And maybe one thing, because Dr. was saying best practice example that could also ramp up quick succession of green activities to, I don't know if that's still deployed in the industry, guide the industries in that, so that at every point there's a schedule and people can plug into it. It optimizes the fleet drilling in the frontier as well. NEPL has drilled, I think in the recent years, about 6 wells, and the IOCs as well. So
sharing. I can remember I was with them some months ago. How we could manage some of these things, but bringing some of these projects like that. So, what is your advice? Is there any strategy you would want to recommend?
Or probably that through this business with different goals and objectives. So let us look at some of these goals, some of these reasons why they believe that at the allocation they are supposed to be operators, but they have not been given the operatorship. So for that, they may not lead to adverse legal issues. One is the regulator really needs to fight by the regulator to carry out such a function. Give that function so that it will look like there is a third party that has looked at the whole information.
I think what you're trying to say is let the proposals be adequately evaluated and ensure that only capable people has money and the field is there undeveloped.
Okay. I believe in the context of the lease conversion, the end of the current lease, there's going to be a need for a conversion. So whether you're operating at 1 mile before, you will be expected to have a PML. Waiting till the expiration of the existing lease, I think it's going to be more of a constructive dialogue because there will be pros and cons for each one. And I think one of the tools that the fact that one cannot convert without the other because they are bound together and they operate under the JOA. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam, I think I need to get back to you. The fund cannot progress. Is there any guideline, strategy where he that is having the resources can go ahead and develop the field?
Okay, but then the regulator on its own is indeed an umpire and must not be seen to jump into the field unless where it's needs to enable the business environment. The idea of this center is to help parties resolve things like this, to be that umpire, to help them resolve and raise the from the courts or arbitration, we do have a mediation center based in Lagos, which can help. What direct discussions?
Now, there are situations where you have a block, you have been operating it, but when they want to give it out, you are only entitled to keep
that have not developed up to 40% of the mining lease, and under the challenge for operators who are the holders of the mining lease is, how do I know what you are asking me to relinquish if that's not where there is imposing on you to carry out that relinquishment, and the fact that that time frame is not sufficient to carry out meaningful 3D, or even gives you an opportunity to apply for PPL over the relinquished area. But there is something that is not working in that construct, because if that were okay and it the concern around not having enough time to carry out the seismic, and then secondly, as the present holder, if you convert and you now want to take out PPLs, multiple PPLs, but the current holders would also be encouraged to convert, because where we are today, nobody is converting. And where we are not converting, even the objective of
they could be giving more incentives to develop. You have a contribution? Just a minute.
I mean, we've done that in exploration, where you do electrotelegraphic magnetics. There are different methods, you know.
Can be used quickly to evaluate, or will they be reliable as if possible or not? That could be another question. So, you have anything to?
I mean, how much more time do we want, right? So, as far as we're concerned, we don't really have a lot of time. You know, we say we have potential to do 2 million barrels per day, and that's by being a bit more focused, rather than making it random across the whole basin. Are there particular areas where we see potential, where we can actually move quicker? And can we just focus on those areas and see what kind of solutions, what kind of incentives can we?
Aladi, can I ask you a question? You've been in this business for quite.
Thank you very much. So, actually, FES has worked in virtually all the basins. Some technologies were deployed, and those new technologies that were deployed, actually, we tried frontier that we defined. Doing that, we saw doing that, a lot of inventories were generated. Of covering large area, yes. Within short time, yes. Then some of them at moderately good cost. Then some of them have coal mining fields with over 1 billion barrels of reserve. It was drilled by FES, or sorry, NNPC Limited. NSAP coverage. But
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but those particular OPL 809 and 810, those two blocks are really licensed to a company, and that company has gone into partnership with NEPL.
Probably the last set of questions. So my overall moderator is getting close, but I think exploration so they can go deeper. Now the question is, one is at maybe 10,000, and then you have better taken probably.
Okay, so the Act does give an exclusive, and it doesn't give you the right to win and carry away. So what the Act basically does is it allows the holder of a PPL or a PL license on how each person should operate. So it's as long as you don't have rights to carry away what you've does that need to have innovative mechanisms in the PIA that accelerates production of those fuels? And that's why you see things like work.
Let's take that. Right? Assuming the PPL owner is different from the PL owner, the data can be given to the PL owner. Is that what you're saying? After
yes,
something to say before,
I think just to add, I think there's some advantages definitely in what she's saying, where it can create in optimizing their cost, reducing environmental elimination and all of that. So I see that where you as the on the depth that they've done, and then what the PL will do in the exploration. So I mean it's better for the nation, and for those two companies.
The current situation, about 30% of what will come, the revenue will be given to give an idea. Yeah, that will be the last question.
Okay, sir. For me, exploration area. So the first well that we drilled, after looking at the whole data, we drill commercial. That is the reason why the 30% has been taken from NNPC Limited to fund these operations. The money we can process. They are going to get a bigger pie instead of eating this small one that has been depleted.
At the end of the day.
Yeah, at the end of the day.
Okay,
thank you.
A lot of the state entities are making efforts to increase non-oil revenue. So that's something that I think every state should continue to do. But also, I've been wondering why not many states are working with chicken.
And if I ask a question, I've been up and about a bit. If I ask a question you've already addressed as a panel, please, you can skip it and take something else that you've not addressed as a panel, right? This first.
Okay, so when we review our basket of cases, most of the litigation is coming from host communities. And we've identified that we did have an alternative dispute resolution center. And yeah, so host communities is quite a very litigious area, that regulation. Thank you.
Still on HostCom, still on, you want to say something? Okay.
Yeah,
please,
she wants to have a contribution to that.
The practical example, and this was like a board of trustees where they were working with us on determining what is needed to make it sustainable for that community.
Kind of addresses that concern. This next person says, is there sufficient data to show that investors are responding positively to the PIA via remarkable increase in both foreign and local in a few days? And we thank him for making the sacrifice to be here. Okay, the question again, Mr. Moderator, I will take it. Is there sufficient data to show that investors...
Yeah, okay. I think the first part, we can take the first part. If there are any records of investments, and then how does it compare to
investments? We did see during a big licensing round, the 2020 leverage on when they gathered together. Thank you.
A little contribution to that. Before the election, many of the investors were to invest and develop our fields. So if you are interested, consult some of us. But the other question is whether comparing it first one. So the basis of comparison, let's defer that question till later.
Oh, okay. No. Okay, let me just see quite a lot of questions. I will just quickly run through one more. And
for us, we were looking at the data, but we were not authorized to say anything until when he said it, and all of us are quoting him. Yeah? But that is exactly what it is. But I am telling you now,
that field we could get more reserved than what he is quoting. I think that's right.
Yeah, please, if you permit me, that last question, can I pick it up? Can I?
Oh, the other one?
The one nation activities in the frontier basin. Would the 1 billion barrels have been discovered? No.
with this one to that. So we can just simply
so, you know, there is a lot of potential when you run all these activities.
Okay, this question is the last one, and then you can summarize after you answer this one. Is what are the security concerns in lease and frontier basin development and mitigation?
Of course, in the state of the state government, so they are all part of that process, so that we have full.
Let's clap for our sister for that. Actually, proper planning and adequate security arrangements. Normally do that those days before we go. So concerning, you know, the frontier basin, these smaller operating blocks and the challenges we have, and the PMLs and the PPLs and the PELs. On that note, great panelists, appreciate all your contribution.
As they take their seats on the front, because we want to finish with our sponsors' remarks before we close the day with a vote of thanks from our Vice Council Chairman. Without our sponsors, we will not be here. Please do not come to Naice. Oh, please come. You will also present to them our token of appreciation. Bring it up here. Bring it. Come this way. Thank you very much. Who's next? This is for Marilyn. Thank you so much, Marilyn. Thank you. This is for Alhaji Bomai. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Join the photograph real quick. Thank you very much. Thank you. Please take your seats on the front here. Thank you. Please take your seats in the front that way. Thank you. Please take your seats in the audience on the front row. Thank you. Okay. Sponsors from WellTech. Let her come up, please. Yes.
The theme of this year's Naice conference is balancing energy, accessibility, adaptability, and sustainability. Strategic options for Africa. To me, discussing things like growth opportunities, potential for oil and gas industry, value maximization, to actually talking about a pertinent topic for the day, which is the energy trilemma. And Wall Street players, if we look at the Gulf of Guinea, the Gulf of Guinea is probably one of the few areas in the world that we still have very large amounts of vast. And I'll just give you a quick story. A few years ago, I was in the village, and I visited a grand uncle. This man had lived to be almost 100 years old. And in his room, when I walked in, it was a mud house. Conventional as that was, you know, that's the typical story of these 600 people I'm talking about. So this is the energy poverty we're trying to address in Africa. So I come to what we call the greener future. It's going to be important that everybody in this room, from the government to the regulators, to the energy companies, the consumers, it's important to our future generations. For us in Oriental Energy Resources, we've been operating the Ibok and the Awkward Fields offshore pump. We're the largest ESP operator offshore Africa. We're the 5th largest in Africa. And as far as energy transition is concerned, we have a power supply agreement, power purchase agreement. We have also signed a grid connection agreement. And today we're here to support the SP in building and providing as the 100 years that he was, even with the conventional source. So thank you everyone for the opportunity for participation and sponsorship of this conference. Thank you, and I wish the rest of us.
Thank you so very much. And that is Mrs. Obehi Erimio Kale, Head Technical of Oriental, speaking on behalf of our MD. Now speaking on behalf of WellTech, I'd like to welcome General Manager Sales and Director.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As Rickman mentioned, my name is Dapadeni and I look after the WellTech business for technology and expertise to provide safe, effective, and quantifiable energy solution. So the topical issues workshop topic, lease conversion and frontier basin developments. Enablers and Challenges in the Petroleum Industry Act is a discussion that has been had. Through the application of our well completion technology, we are enabling long-term storage solutions. Securing well introduces massive carbon footprint reduction. We provide advanced completion solutions to the geothermal sector, renewable. We are collaborating with regulators and universities to facilitate the enhanced geothermal system design. Magma Parker to firstly enable the zonal isolation / compartmentalization of the reservoir, and furthermore, our high temperature and well flow solution and differentiators. We have both at with 50 and 51, where we have our SMEs ready to answer your questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dakwadeni, GM and Sales Director for West Africa WellTech. ENGR and First NNP are the other sponsors that we have here. NNPC Limited in providing access, to rural areas and even urban areas for electricity across the Plus as he makes his way to take the vote of thanks.
Thank you. You know one thing, even with that, God willing, we'll be here next year listening to the same kind of discussions. I'll tell you again, I'm doing the same thing that you do every day. Nothing. You would think that is where the world ends. But when you come to such sessions, when you come here and you meet professionals new, that is why we're SPE. That is why we're here. We're here to add value. We're here to ensure competence is enhanced. Come next year, we would still come pushing and asking, please put in your money because there is value. Energia, Oriental, WellTech, really drill those wells. You have the opportunity to listen to him today. He gave you value. You have an ex-person that led IDSL. The people that were there that ran the geophone, the regulator is here. So, to me, I got value. And I'm sure for those of you that were actually feeling when you leave here, I am sure you would recall that.
6 p.m. See you at 6 p.m. for the Oil Industry Night. But please take every networking completely out of this grand ballroom area, including where we served, where we floor. Please proceed to exit.